Biggest European startups of 2014, securing $100 million in its last investment round this year. This is big in Europe. Please welcome Loraine Habib.
Thank you very much. So one of the things I hear a lot talking to founders and investors here or back in Europe is how difficult it is for a non-US based startup to scale and grow globally. So today what I'd like to do is share with you our story at BlaBlaCar, a French startup who's become a European one and now becoming a global one. So as a European startup, the first question we had to ask ourselves was, is Europe a big enough ocean to grow a multinational company? So looking at relevant indicators such as population, smartphone penetration, motorization rate, part of the population who actually travel for leisure, what you can see comparing US with Europe as a single market is that, well, Europe is actually pretty big, if it's not bigger than the US on those indicators. So size of the market is not really the problem. If you look at gross domestic product, well, you can see that also here, Europe as a single market has a very relevant GDP, and that when startups in Europe address this market, it's really huge for them. So what you might think is that maybe Europe is big enough, but it's that we don't know how to build companies in Europe. But if you look historically on the top 100 companies by market cap, what you can see is that actually out of 100 biggest companies in the world, well, 30 of them are from Europe. So, well, we know actually how to build companies in Europe. That's probably not what the issue is. But on the tech and industry and consumer internet industry, well, there's only small fish. The ocean is big, but there are small fish in Europe. So if you look at the market cap of the tech companies, well, you can see that the US is actually grabbing almost 80% of this value, and Europe only 4%. So if you think of it as the value we created in the future, well, the US is grabbing 80% of all the value on the tech industry, which is really a shame since we've seen before that the European market is actually as big as the US market. So there's this case study we like to use at BlaBlaCar, and it's the online real estate market in Europe. So if you see those companies, Rightmove in the UK, SeLoger in France, Immobilien, Scout24 in Germany, well, all of them are huge in their own market. If you go to the UK and are looking to rent a flat or buy a house, well, the first thing you do is go on Rightmove in the UK. But outside of this country, outside of the UK, no one has heard about Rightmove. And it's the same thing with the other companies, even though they are billion-dollar companies. So what I mean is, imagine if one of those companies had targeted Europe as a single market from the start, instead of targeting their own market. Imagine how huge they would be right now, since basically the need is the same in all of those European countries. So being a small fish is very risky, because if we keep building very small companies like that in Europe, well, we're never going to have this big win in Europe, the European Google, the European Facebook, and that's really such a shame since we are in such a huge ocean. So let me step back and tell you a bit about BlaBlaCar. I realize we don't operate in the region yet, so some of you might not know about what we really do. So if you imagine a driver, he's going from, let's say, Brussels to Paris, that's around 300 kilometers. That's going to cost him around 90 euros. That's petrol, tolls, insurance, depreciation of his car, and that's what he's going to pay to do this trip. So what BlaBlaCar built is a marketplace for this driver to be able to publish his trip and the empty seats on his car on BlaBlaCar, and some passenger can then book the empty seats and travel cheaper. So on one way, no, sorry, on one way, you have this driver who's going to save a lot of money. He's going to offset the cost of the trip. And on the other, you're going to have those passengers who are going to travel for very cheap, 20 euros in the case of Brussels to Paris. You can't find cheaper if you take a train or long-distance bus. So what we're building here is actually a massive transport network based on empty seats in cars that would have traveled this way anyway. And this marketplace is basically been enabled by internet and the growth of mobile usage. On BlaBlaCar, everyone has a profile, ratings that were given by people traveled with beforehand. The trips are planned and paid, and BlaBlaCar recommends a price so that drivers don't make profit or something. So, but most importantly, today it scales. So in September, we reached 10 million members of BlaBlaCar. Today, we're growing at a pace of 2 million new members every quarter, and that's accelerating. So here is about the round Samer mentioned. We've been raising several rounds over the year, but the latest one was in July. We raised $100 million, which is actually the biggest round ever in France, and actually one also of the biggest in Europe. So let me tell you now a bit more about how we were able to target Europe as a single market from the start and not ended up targeting only France. Today we are in 13 countries in Europe and a bit outside Europe, seeing Russia and Turkey. And we're actually #1 in all of those countries. So we don't have only one secret, but today I'd like to tell you more about this one, our strategy of acqui-hiring very early on. So I'd like to go through 3 quick stories about this strategy. So the first company we acquired was an Italian company called Postinauto. The discussion started in 2011. I myself wasn't even part of BlaBlaCar back then. But our co-founder, Nicolas, he approached Olivier and told him, well, I'm a French guy, I'm building this long-distance ride-sharing network in France, you're doing the same in Italy, well, why don't we do it together? And Olivier's first answer was, well, I'm going to do it by myself. I'm Italian, I'm actually also half German, I can do it in 2 countries, why would I gather up with a French guy and do the same thing that I'm already doing? And well, after some negotiations and explaining how we could raise some money building a European network and not only a national one, well, Olivier joined. And the year after, we decided to open Germany, and it's actually Olivier who opened Germany for BlaBlaCar, and now he's heading the whole region. The second story of acqui-hire is on Poland. So here the story is a bit different because we had targeted Poland as being a very attractive market for BlaBlaCar. And so we found this guy, Piotr, who actually hadn't started anything yet, but had just got a grant from the EU to start a long-distance ride-sharing network. And here again, when we approached him, he was like, well, I just got the money, I think I'm going to do it by myself. And back then, we were already in 4 countries because we were in Spain, UK, Italy, and France. And we told him, well, now we're a European company. You should join us, and we are going to join forces and do it together. And here again, after some time, he joined, and now he's heading the whole expansion from Eastern Europe, actually, and not only just heading Poland. And the last in-date acqui-hire is a Ukrainian company, actually, called Podrozniki. And when we met Alexei, he's actually a Ukrainian guy. He had started this company in Ukraine, but operating both in Ukraine and Russia. Well, we thought really Russia would be a great market for us. And he had raised some seed funds. So again, it was a long negotiation to convince him to join us. But today, he joined. BlaBlaCar's growth is amazing in Russia. It's actually our fastest growing country. And what I mean is, in all of those cases, it was kind of a stretch for them, for us. It was more risky than doing it by ourselves or than just proving our market first. But it ended up being a huge win too. And Then the second secret, but really goes together, right? It's that we decided very early on to grow our footprint. And we went from, in 2010, targeting only 60 million French people to today targeting 700 million European people. And that's our ocean now. And our ocean is big, and our growth tracks the best. So if you look at this chart of like brand awareness of BlaBlaCar compared to Airbnb, what you can see is actually we're following the same pace that Airbnb, which is a global actor. And so basically we're two years behind them because we started our growth later, but we are following the same pace. And if you look at the global growth of BlaBlaCar, 2 years ago, it was only a French company. And today, 2/3 of our growth is coming from new countries. And since we keep opening new countries, imagine what it's going to be next year. And finally, getting back to a acquire strategy, how today many startups wait until they're really big to start acquiring. And that's really a shame. For us, it was a huge win. Today, half of our members, new members, come from the countries where we made an acquire. So it was really a huge win, and we would have been very ashamed to miss it out. So I guess what I want to say is if we stop seeing Europe as a collection of small markets and see it as one single market, well, we can be big and win. Thank you.